Welcome back to Gone Wandering. Today we're going to be touring the USS Lexington and the Houston Space Center. So it's kind of a guy's video. As we approach this immense ship, my first fun fact of the day will be the flight deck is more than 2 acres of land. In other words, you could play 3 football games at the same time, or 14 basketball games. On the left side of the ship here, you can see the Japanese rising flag. On November 5th, 1944, a kamikaze plane smashed into the ship, killing 49 crew members and injuring 132 others. The ship is broken up into 5 self-guided tours. Per their suggestion, I started on the 4th tour, which will include the engine room. Wow, this is quite a labyrinth of passages. Sure is a good thing it's clearly marked, because you take a wrong turn and gosh knows where you'll end up. The ship can sleep 3,500 people, and it has enough phones for 5,000 people. It also produces enough electricity to light 150,000 homes. Aha, great! Time for a quick haircut. The Lexington steamed more miles and served longer than any other carrier in the U.S. fleet. They have a very nice information area about the kamikazes, which filled in how the training period was so short that using the plane as a weapon in some cases was more effective than using bombs. This very rare Japanese flag would be signed by the pilots prior to their mission and then sent home to the family. I just watched a video on the USS Lexington's role in the Pacific during the Second War, fighting the Japanese for the most part. How difficult that war was, and the number of lives lost. It's yet another perspective on the atomic bomb and how it was used to shorten the war. As we make our way through these corridors, did you know the Lexington has sailed a total of 209,000 miles, or equivalent to about 8 times around the world? Crazy! And it carries enough fuel for a 30,000 mile trip. Man, I wouldn't have to fill up at all during this trip.
The machine shop on board Lexington can keep the ship going even when spare parts are not available. Never was this truer than during the early wars when spare parts were hard to come by. The machine was any process in which a cutting tool was used to remove small chips of material from the workpiece. To perform the operation, relative motion is required between the tool and the work. On board a ship, the man doing this work is known as a machinery repairman. The machinery repairmen perform organizational and intermediate maintenance on assigned equipment and in support of other ships, requiring the skillful use of lathes, milling machines, boring machines, grinders, power hacksaws, drill presses, and other machine tools, including portable machinery, hand tools, and measuring instruments, which are commonly found in a machine shop. That is all. Carry on.
Finally we get something to eat. I think this adds a whole new meaning to freeze-dried or dehydrated, however. Looks like they ate pretty well, though.
T Division, better known as the Dental Department. During Lexington's 40 years of service in the U.S. Navy, this 7-room dental clinic was one of the busiest areas on the ship. Unlike today's 7-room clinic, this area consisted of only 2 large units in World War II. During Lexington's construction in 1943, the dental clinic was located exactly where it is today. These spaces have remained a dental clinic throughout the ship's service. The clinic has always been state-of-the-art, up-to-date, and modern for its time. Whether you needed fillings, a root canal, crowns, bridges, full or partial dentures, or just cleaning, you could get it all right in here. Lexington's Dental Clinic performed over 12,000 dental procedures a year with up to 35 patients a day. That's a lot of teeth. As you continue through the dental clinic, look carefully at the photos and you will see the changes that took place during Lexington's 40 years of service. Carry on.
I guess I was wrong. The engine room is open. This has such a labyrinth of corridors. I was standing right over there thinking that I couldn't get here. Walked around a corner and we're going down.
Hi, I'm Charlie, and I've been watching over the Lexington since December 4th, 1943. I was part of Repair Party 3 stationed in the mess on the other side of the ship and about 170 feet aft of where I'm standing now. I had 10 friends scattered around the area between frame 184 and 198, all on the third day. At 23:32, a torpedo struck the side of the ship. The only survivors were 4 of my buddies, including my best friend Roy that had been sitting on a couch at the aft end of the compartment. 9 of my friends were killed that day. 7 from Repair Party 3, and 2 of my buddies that were on the fantail. Another 35 were injured. Because of the severe damage, 5 of us were left in the damaged spaces until Lexington reached Pearl Harbor. On the 5th, Jimmy and Billy were buried at sea, and 2 of us were never found after the explosion.
Number 4, shaft, unlocked and standing by for any maneuvering bells. Aye, aye. Aye, aye. Indicating turns for 15 knots. Aye, aye. Number 4, turning 108 RPM for answering standard bell. All stop. The chief is here.
Hi, and welcome to Lexington's aft engine room. This is the throttle board for the aft starboard turbine. The Lexington was powered by one of the most efficient and dependable propulsion systems ever installed in the United States Navy. On the other side of this bulkhead is the fire room, which is where the steam is produced to power the turbines. We use steam because we can take seawater, turn it into fresh water, then convert the water to steam, and use the energy from the steam, and then reuse the water, reducing dramatically the amount of fuels the ship has to carry. There are 8 boilers in the 4 fire rooms, and 4 high-pressure and 4 low-pressure turbines in the 2 engine rooms. The Lexington is propelled by 4 15-foot diameter propellers on 20-inch shafts. Turbine engines are relatively simple, with a closed-loop system of water and steam to drive the turbines. The steam, with a pressure of 600 psi at 850 degrees, is piped into the high-pressure turbines, where it expands through circular rows of blades. The steam then goes through the low-pressure turbine, where the steam expands in both directions to balance the thrust. In both turbines, the revolving blades turn the propeller shaft at up to 265 revolutions per minute, while developing 150,000 horsepower total. While underway, 4 persons were required to operate each side of this engine room. That is all. Carry on.
So I was on the Lexington for about 4 hours, and I really, I could have spent many more hours on it. There's so much to see, so much to read. You just can't take it all in. It's pretty intense. If you go there, I suggest breaking it up into 2 trips at least, because seeing everything at once, eventually, I don't know, my eyes started to gloss over a little bit. Our travel plans didn't allow us to stay an extra day, so, but I'd suggest doing it in 2 days. Entering into the Space Museum is a bit overwhelming, to say the least. Just by chance, we started with a movie which gave us a complete overview of the entire space program. From there, the door exited out into the early developments of space up through the Apollo landings. Being able to see the actual real spacecraft really showed how small the actual quarters are that the astronauts were sitting in. The rovers weighed 460 pounds and had enough batteries to travel about 55 miles. However, they were restricted to 6 miles just in case they had to walk back home. A total of 842 pounds of lunar rock was brought back, so if you take into account the cost of the Apollo missions, it's about $51,000 per gram to bring those rocks back. So from there we started to learn about the space station. This is one that you can walk inside of. And these others are on a, I'll call it a test floor, an assembly floor, and these are all exact copies of the ones which are currently in orbit. So the little green spacecraft in the middle there is the Soyuz spacecraft, and we've sent quite a few astronauts into space using that at the cost of about $200 to $250 million per trip. So again, I've condensed our 5-hour visit to just a few minutes for your viewing pleasure. This last segment is the last fully assembled Saturn rocket, which was left behind as a result of the program being canceled. It's over 363 feet long in this one giant building. So thanks for watching our video again, and hope to see you next week.